Good morning, everyone. I want to say thank you for coming and joining us today. I'm Carol Henderson, and I have Life by Design, and I work mainly with people in the second half of their life, but there's occasionally a time that I run across new moms and new babies, and uh, this is Samarah. I've known Samarah since she was that size. Her mom walked into my house one day and carrying her about like that. That's when I met Samarah. So I've gotten to watch her grow up and kind of, you know, see all this journey that she's been on. So anyway, I just want to thank y'all for joining us today. And also I have my wonderful co-host, Miss Barbara Ellison. So
Hello, hello. Welcome to Thoughtful Thursdays. You know what? I love seeing new moms and new babies, almost 50s. They're in their late 40s. Oh, it's so nice to see a baby, especially a baby that had hair, that has hair. I'm going to tell a little story. My oldest son, he was just bald. He just had no hair whatsoever. And I have to admit, at points when he was a wee baby, I despaired of him ever having hair. Well, he finally got hair, grew it very long. In fact, on his wedding day, I braided it. It was so long, but now he shaves his head. I'm like, but you were a baby and I despaired of you ever having hair. And now he shaves his head. Both my boys
is he
shave their
getting bald
heads.
on top? Is that why he
Well,
shaves
they
it?
both have hair, but I said to my youngest one day, why do you shave your head? He said, because then I don't have to comb my hair. I went, okay. He does it in the shower. It's a time for him. It's a time. He just shaves his head in the shower. Okay.
So does he shave it like tight, like solid, like
Oh,
Yul
yes.
Brenner kind?
Yeah. Oh, Yul Brenner. Yeah. He shaves his head.
Keith did that once.
Yeah.
They still had his beard.
Yeah.
So anyway, let
Yeah.
me
And
welcome
now look at it. Now Keith's hair is so long and curly. It's like,
his hair. Have you seen him yet, Samarah? His hair's down to here. I had never seen it that long. So yeah, it's a
it's so
whole
fun.
new ball game. So,
Whole
but
new
he's
ball
loving
game.
it. He's loving it.
Yeah.
But
And I'm a hairdresser. So while I was in Texas, it was like, gee, do you want Barbara to trim up your hair? No, I'm leaving it long. And it was like, okay. And we laughed.
it's curly. It never was curly before. Well, it wasn't that
Curly.
kind of curly in the past, but yeah. So I think it may be
But
just that our nutrition
anyways,
is so good right now. Mine has never been curly. And look at this. Yeah, yeah, major nutrition.
yeah.
But anyway, enough of that. I want to introduce
Yeah.
Samarah Meil and sweet little Journey. Journey's just what, 6 weeks old now? 5, 6?
He is going to be 7 weeks on Thursday, on Thoughtful Thursday.
Oh, okay. So when this airs, she'll be 7 weeks old. How exciting! How exciting! Samarah, tell us a little bit about how her name came to be Journey, and a little bit about your journey.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me and letting me chat with you guys. This is fun. Journey is in and out of sleep right now. She just ate a little bit, so she is in that milk coma. So forgive her, but she is happy to join as well. Honestly, I know God gave me her name, and there's probably going to be deeper meaning and things that we will find out down the road why even God had us name her Journey. But the real funny part of it is, really honestly, we were supposed to, in 2020, we were planning to go to Ireland. And then we all know what happened in 2020 and the world shut down, and there was no Ireland that was going to be happening then. So then in 2021, we already were planning on doing a trip to Greece. So we said, we're going to keep the trip to Greece and we'll just do Ireland in 2022. Well, 2022 is here, and we are not going to be doing Ireland this year just because we have a little journey with us. So my brother and his wife are going to join us. We both have anniversaries in September. So we were going to leave at the end of August and go for almost 2 weeks to Ireland and explore all over Ireland and go, you know, to a couple of pubs and meet some locals
I'll
and,
babysit.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we were gonna do some fun things in Ireland. And so after I found out I was pregnant, I was visiting with my brother and his wife. And of course we were, just excited about, journey with, was going to be due. We found out in July. And so I said, I don't think that Ireland is going to happen this year. I just can't imagine leaving with that small of a baby. And I'm certainly not leaving that small of a baby behind. And my first time mom, so I'm certainly new to this as well. So we were kind of laughing about it. My brother said offhandedly, well, maybe you should name this baby Ireland because you're not going to get to go to Ireland. You'll always remember that you were supposed to go to Ireland, but instead you had a baby. So we laughed about that. And I said, well, then I could probably name the baby Costa Rica or anything else, just because there was several trips we were going to be canceling because we were not going to be traveling at the, later this year because of having her. So at the time, we didn't know if it was going to be a boy or girl. I was still pretty early in my pregnancy. I was only 11, almost 12 weeks along when we found out. And had because of my age, I was able to find out the gender a little quicker. So that's kind of nice. They treat you a little extra special when you're over 35. I'm currently 41. I'll be 42 in December. So this whole thing was a shock to me. But anyway, while we were talking with my brother and them, I just, out of nowhere, I don't even know where it came from other than the Holy Spirit. I just said, maybe this baby's name will be Journey because it's been quite a journey. And I am a travel agent and have been for almost 20 years. And so we kind of laughed about that. And that's funny, but ever since that moment, that was just a seed planted in my heart. And I kept hearing and seeing the word journey everywhere I went. I would be, in line at a store and I'd hear the band Journey playing on the speakers in the store, or I would, I was in a church service like a week later after I talked to my brother, and our pastor 3 times said the word journey in his sermon. And so I just started seeing it and hearing it everywhere. And that's kind of what God does to me sometimes when he's trying to highlight a word to me. Every year I always ask God, what is going to be my word for the year? And towards the end of 2021, before I found out I was going to have a baby, the Lord kept speaking the word change to me. So I knew that for 2022, that my word was going to be change. And I didn't know what that was going to look like. And I was very open to it. But I remember telling God, it's not a really fun word. Like, I really would like a fun word, God, So anyway, but I now know why, God was saying there's going to be change coming. And he was warning me all the way from last August, actually, when I first started to hear the word. And just like I saw and heard the word journey everywhere, I kept hearing the word change everywhere or seeing it written everywhere. So honestly, that is how it came about. But it was several weeks before I really pondered it more. Kept thinking, man, I keep seeing this word. I, at the time, was very convinced I was going to be having a boy. I just thought, I think I'll probably have a boy. I don't know why. I just always thought if I was going to have one baby, maybe I'd have a boy. And around Valentine's Day, we found out the gender because with my age again, I got to find out the gender a little quicker because I did some blood tests on me. And so it was really great that we found out, okay, we're having a girl. So all of a sudden I stopped looking at boy names and I started really thinking, you know what? I like the name Journey for a girl. And my husband was kind of on board with it, but he wasn't like real, like set on it. He had a few other names he liked better. But as time went on, it just became very evident that we were supposed to name her Journey. And like I said, I know that there's going to be a time even down the road we're probably going to even know a bigger reason why. But I'm pretty certain that it's a God thing. So that's the long story.
No,
Sorry.
that's great. That's great.
That's
What
awesome.
what would you say to a new mom or a young woman who wants a baby and hasn't had, how would you counsel somebody that is still in the waiting? What would you say to them?
So, for about 20 years, a lot of my close friends have been getting married or have been married. And we got married 17 years ago. And at that time, the natural thought process is you're just going to have a baby eventually. You're newly married and you're just going to have kids. But I was never a woman that was just desperate to have children. I was very content with my life in every season. And I just naturally thought, oh, it'll happen someday. And I kind of just went on. But I had a lot of friends that were very, very desperate to be mothers, and their kind of whole identity was being wrapped up in the fact that they wanted to have babies and be a mother. So I've seen some of my friends go through some of that, where maybe they had to wait, or they had miscarriages, or maybe it just wasn't happening in the time they thought. And all I can say is that when you give it to God and you are trusting that if He's given you the desire to have children, then He's going to make it happen. Now, that doesn't always mean it may happen that you birth a baby, maybe, but there's so many ways to be a mother. And for me, I was really open to being a mother in many ways, whether it was, just helping take care of somebody else, or eventually fostering or adoption. And those are things that I still think could still happen. There is no limit. I have one of my agents that works for me. She is in her 60s and she's raising a 5-year-old granddaughter. And so, and she was never one that was able to have her own children. So she basically has this granddaughter through a process where they fostered somebody. So, and now she's raising her and they're adopting her. So God works in all kinds of ways to allow you to be a parent if that's the desire of your heart. Because I believe when He gives you those desires, He's giving you He'll give you the grace to walk through whatever that looks like. So I just feel like a lot of people try to have a timeline. And obviously, there is things you have to do to be able to have a baby, and you need to be married. Is my belief or whatever. But definitely, I think if people will live with an open hand and trust the Lord through the process, then when the time happens, it'll be exactly when it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
That's
Exactly.
good. That's good. Yeah.
And then with those, I love the fact that just talking about that there's so many different ways of being a mom.
Mhm.
And I think when somebody gets or being a parent, I think when people get so caught up in the word being a parent that they don't leave themselves open for how it's going to happen. Like in my hired children, and I have children by marriage, and it is just, but they're all children and they all call me Grammy. It's very cool. Doesn't matter how they came, but they're still all my grandchildren. And it's like,
Exactly.
it is the coolest thing.
Well, and then there was the time when my daughter-in-law died and my son was left with a newborn. I mean, they diagnosed her with cancer at 6 weeks and she was dead by 9 months. And so
Wow.
he was in a job that he was on call so much and he had like a 30-minute call out. Well, we live 45 miles north of where they did. And so for him to you can't get a baby ready and get it to a sitter in 30 minutes, even if the sitter's on standby. And so, we were initially going to bring him and the baby up here and to the lake and just have them here. We have plenty of space. And that he couldn't make a 30-minute call out from here, even by himself. And so we just bundled the baby up and brought him home and raised him for about 2.5, 3 years. And it was wonderful. I mean, it was so much fun to fold his little clothes. And after he was gone and I was missing him, I realized that I would fold like his little pajamas and I'd pat him and I'd fold the next thing and I'd pat it. And I thought, I did that. So, but we miss him and now they live states and states away. And so really miss him. And he has 5 younger brothers and sisters. So you didn't know Aaron had that many?
I'm sure I did at one time, but hearing
Well,
it is like,
I bet
wow.
you didn't know about the last 2 because he had twins in January. So they're brand new. Then there's a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So that's 6 kids, a 7-year-old, and then the others.
God bless them. That is, I mean, she's pretty easy, but man, to have them that be that little, but what a
Yeah.
blessing at the same time. Like, how fun is that? I'm sure it's a beautiful, chaotic mess there.
Well, and he posted on Facebook to a friend, it in one of his posts and stuff. He said, "This is the hardest thing I've ever done." And I thought, good, because I had three boys under three. My oldest was still two when the third one came. So, it was kind of chaotic there too. He just doubled what I did. He did the same thing times two.
I'm telling you, but God's grace is always there, and they'll look back years later and they'll think, how did we get through that season in our life? And they're
Yeah.
gonna, and it's just God just helps you through it all. And that's what's the exciting part. So
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. So you're a travel agent, you're a new mom. What would, what would you say to people about trying to work and having a baby? I mean, I know you have a unique situation because you office at home and you own the company. So, but what would you say about?
well, I am really blessed with my situation, but I'm still new in navigating this as well. I'm technically still on maternity leave until September 6th. I gave myself until that time to be very much where I was focusing on her because I did not know what our life was going to look like. And so, what a blessing that she is, but it is different. Our life is different. I know a lot of parents, thankfully, there's a lot of people that do get some maternity leave and even paternity for the fathers for a few weeks. So I know everybody that can differ depending on your company and what you do. So I do hate it for those that have to quickly go back and maybe have to worry about childcare or maybe make that hard decision if they're going to just stay home or not. I had several of my friends when we were younger. It almost made more sense for them to stay home for a season
Yeah.
and raise their kids because the expense of childcare, especially when you have multiple, was more than what they were earning at their job. And so that there was just a season, and now they're able to, when kids go to school, if you're not doing something like homeschooling, especially a lot of times, I've seen a lot of my friends go back to work. For me, I do work from home, and so I do have a unique situation, but I very much make my workspace. And I'm a very disciplined person. So every day I came in my office at 9 in the morning and I'd be in here until 7 p.m. And, I a lot of times would eat lunch at my desk. And so I'm having now to look at my life and say, I can't do that the same anymore because I have a little human that I'm raising. And she's the most important thing in this time because I'm only going to have her for so long. And then she's going to be grown up. If the Lord tarries, she's going to get only older and older. And I want to have as much time with her. So for me, I'm having to see like, I'm going to have to pull back some. And thankfully, I'm in a financial place where I can. My husband has a very good job, is very supportive. And so I have so much respect for those single mamas or single daddies that are raising kids and or grandparents that are navigating that and still maybe trying to work jobs. But I have no good advice other than you have to listen to the Holy Spirit and decide what you're going to do and if a job is worth going back to or not, even probably.
Well, and some of them are marginal. It's like
Yeah.
the amount of money is like, do you want to work that hard for this much money?
Yes.
When you were
Right.
making this much, do you want to work that hard for this much? Or would it be better to do some kind of little side gig, something on
Yep.
the internet, some kind of a, multi-level, whatever, that you can make more than that little because they can be very lucrative. I mean,
I was going to say,
very lucrative.
that's
As you
just it. And
leverage.
COVID allowed us to work more from home where it's more common too. So I think a
Mhm.
lot of people are able to take their work from home now versus even a couple years ago when it was more, that people were going
Ground
to the
on.
office place. Yeah. But like you said, there's so many ways. Like I have agents that work for me and they work from home and they set their own hours. And I always say family is first. And they can, we just always trust the Lord with the difference. We call it God math. I always say if you're doing what the Lord wants you to do, he's going to provide for you and he'll provide the clients you need and where you can earn the money you need to without as much of a headache if you need to. So
Right. So I mean, and like we homeschooled our boys growing up, and that is something, Journey's not that age yet, but she's not that far out that, she's already learning at your knee, which is very scriptural. And so, if you can, if you're a parent out there and it's that question of just a little bit of margin, there are so many ways that you can make up that difference. And I know single parents that stay home with their children, and they have figured out how to work that out and reach out. If you have questions, put them in the chat. If you want to know something or want to know any how-tos, put it in the chat. We'll be glad to answer and reach back out to anybody that does ask that. But yeah, it's like, you've got to look at yourself. You've got to take care of yourself first. On the airplane, as the travel agent will attest, they say, put your oxygen mask on first. And the reason is because if you're putting it, say, on the baby or the toddler, and yours isn't on and you pass out, there's no one to take care of that toddler. You've got, people say, oh, it's selfish for me to take care of me. But it's not selfish. You've got to take care of you, whatever age your children are, or whatever your job is. Take care of you. Take that me time. Have your quiet time in the morning, in the afternoon, or evening if you have to. I like mine first thing in the morning because that sets the tone of my day. And that brings me to another thing, since we're talking about finances. We don't pull away anything about biblical principles and stuff here on this show, but are you tithing? If you're not tithing, your money's not protected. But the tithe actually is like puts a fence around the rest of your money and makes it go further. So, and people, oh, well, I can't afford to tithe. You can't afford not
to.
Yeah. And the thing is that gives you tithers' rights. And what's left, that 90% goes way further than the 100% would go without it. So if you're a single parent, definitely make that a priority. And the cool thing is, it's not like it's $100 and that's all you make, or it's, $100 and you have billions. It's 10%. Yeah, I mean, it's the same amount for everybody. Now, I know the 90% is not the same for everybody, but that 10% is equal no matter who you are. I mean, whether it's minimum wage, whether it's below minimum wage, whether you don't have anything, you can tithe your time, you can tithe other resources, but be a tither, because it will give you tithers' rights and it will protect the whole. And so, yeah, it's Barbara. I've been talking.
One of the things for me is that we talked about, sometimes it's hard to make the choice. Should I go, I've got a baby. Should I go back to work? Should I not go back to work? And I've known several women that were in that spot. It was just like a really conflict within them. Should I go back to work? Should I go, And one day, one of the gals said, you know what? Let's see, there's a whole formula of what does it cost you to go to work? Transportation, clothes, childcare, all of those things. And you can Google it, cost of going to work. And they had, so these two girls, both of them did it because they were both in the same boat, that they just didn't know whether they wanted to go back to work or not. And my one friend, Rita, it turned out that she was making like $3 an hour after all the expenses.
Yeah.
She went, I'm not going to go to work for $3 an hour.
That's when I was talking about that little margin. Yeah.
That little margin. And that's when she came into a direct sales company and replaced her income within a couple of months. Replaced her income. And I've known several people that have done that. So if you have that dilemma and you don't know where to find it, reach out to us.
Yes.
More than happy to work with you, just to see what is it costing you to go to work. The thing is, though, one of the couples, they figured out that it was better for her to go back to work and he stayed home.
And that has become acceptable in
absolutely. And
I know several house moms. I mean, house husband.
House husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
House husband. And it was just because they were practically, I mean, it was just the funniest thing because they were starting to natter at each other. And they just, because she was frustrated being at home and he was frustrated being at work. So they did this. They did the comparison. How much is it costing me to go to work? Stress plus adding the stress level.
Mm-hmm.
How much was it cost? Well, they did it. I think he gave his notice like the next day and said, that's it, we're done. And and it has saved their marriage. They are happy as clams because she loves to go out to work and he loves to be at home with the kids. Great.
And it's
awesome.
acceptable.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah. But
it's acceptable.
Yeah. Barbara, you know the statistics on this, that most women who are 7-figure earners, 6 and 7-figure earners, do it in a direct sales multi-level business. But what is that? Is it 80-something percent?
It's like 87% of the women that make over $100,000 a year, 100,000 a year, do it in direct sales.
Yeah. But also
because they're leveraging their time. You're not, so like if the three of us were in a direct sales company, so say if Carol is at the top, well, she's getting paid a little bit, like a small percentage of what I do. Well, then I bring you in and I make a little percentage of what you do, but so does Carol.
Yeah.
It might be smaller percentage. It's leveraging your time and your effort. It's the perfect business
storm.
It's the perfect business model.
But also most female millionaires are made in this industry, industry. So don't shy away, whatever product or service or whatever you would want to do, don't shy away. I mean, Samarah leverages money or leverages income with her girls. It's not a multi-level company because she's bearing the brunt. But if you have no money and no prospects, reach out, because you can start a multi-level business income with minute amount of investment and instant income. It takes 3 to 5 years to start a brick and mortar business, which is basically what Samarah has. And and she's muted, she's just not being the bobblehead doll. But she worked hard. I remember those early years. She worked hard, and then she add another employee and another employee, but on top of that she has to pay taxes and equipment. And with a multi-level business, it's all done for you. I mean, it's easy breezy done for you. Oh, Journey, you're so cute.
So cute. Yes.
I just love getting
I love oohing over babies.
Yeah. I get to see her in person in the morning, hopefully.
Yes. But anyway, so just there are so many avenues that are available to us now. So many more avenues. But and one of the things, people say, well, how do I find, how do I start in a multi-level or a direct sales company? What's something that you like? You might like candles, you might like makeup. The thing is, though, the only suggestion that I have is make sure that the thing that you like is consumable.
Yes.
Make
jewelry,
sure that it is
you buy the jewelry, it's yours from now on. You want
that will, because if it's consumable, you replace it every month.
So, and if you want to know good companies, put your notes in here and ask, because we've both been in the industry for many years. We've been in a
lot of companies.
Help to guide you. And and if you want to be a travel agent, who knows?
Exactly. There are so many avenues to work at home.
Yes.
If that is your desire. And the thing is, though, if it's not your desire, then quit beating yourself up for the ones that it is their desire. It works both ways. If you want to be a corporate person, great, do it. But if you want to be don't apologize for your choices. This is our life lesson of the day. Do not apologize for your life lessons, for your life choices.
Okay, Samarah, unmute yourself and give us your last thoughts.
Well, I love what you guys are saying, and I always just tell my girls that work with me, because I have a bunch of independent contractors. I'm always telling them that whenever you are doing what God wants you to do,
Right.
as far as your work goes, He'll bless the work of your hand, and we call that God math. Like sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes you think, how in the world did we make it? But God is in the business of making it work when we are diligent with Him and we tithe and we give. We're good stewards of what He's given us.
Yeah.
But when you work hard too, He honors that. He honors the work of your hands. And so we all the time, I grew up, my mom always had to say a blessing where it said, I have the mind of Christ, the wisdom of God is in me, and everything my hands touch, He will prosper. And so I believe that, and we declare that over our lives. But I tell you what, I have so much respect for people who are, out there trying to navigate, maybe switching careers, maybe
Right.
moving to home and trying to do something like what many of you guys have done with the multi-level marketing, or even like with when I bring on a new agent and they work from home, there's always a learning process. So
Right.
the best thing they can do is find a mentor, find a life coach, find somebody that will be able to help them navigate those waters and encourage them, because even a good multi-level or a good travel agency or whatever you're doing, you still got to put the time in. There's
Right.
still got to be a little time,
Yeah.
and you can't be discouraged. You got to learn your product, and you got to believe in your product as well. I really believe that you definitely want to do something that you connect with. So those are my thoughts, and I am appreciative to be able to speak to y'all today. Thank you for letting Journey and I come in and tell a little bit about our story and how her name came about, and just how we're navigating me getting back to work.
Well, that's great. And that is so true. You've got to find a good mentor. And the other thing is, in so many jobs, I don't care if it's flipping burgers at McDonald's or being a multi-level business owner or a brick and mortar business owner, home or in a office, people give up and they think, oh, this is too hard. And because the investment in a multi-level is low, it's easy to, what's easy to do is also easy to not do. And the same thing with jobs. How many people, I can remember my dad changed jobs after 13 years. And he made the comment, I can remember as a little kid making this comment, because I was only there 13 years. And he was feeling guilty that he was only there 13 years. Who stays at a job nowadays for 13 years? It's the rarity rather than the norm. And so
And
don't give up.
statistically, most people are saying now that you will have 7 careers in your
Now,
lifetime.
not just
Not
jobs,
just 7
careers.
jobs, 7 careers.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah. So
So
find
if
what
you're,
you
if
like
you're ready
and
for
do
a
it.
change, do it.
Yeah. Yeah. But stick with it. Give it time. Give it
Right.
time. So anyway, we are so glad y'all came. We're so glad that Samarah and Journey joined us today. And just, this was fun. So put your chats, share it out, and we will see y'all next week.
Okay. Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.